Well, a friend of mine asked me to repair his Watt Victor, W-A-T-T Victor steam engine. This is 1940s era steam engine. I would call it a toy, but it produces 250 watts of heat, and as you'll see from the video, the temperatures exceed 250 degrees to the touch, so it's not something that you would just want to hand to a 6-year-old and say, go have some fun. Um, you fill the chamber up from the top with water, and then you've got a little water gauge there. We'll see some of these in more detail in a minute. But the unit needed some repair, and we're going to go through the entire repair process in the video, and we'll do some experimentation until we can get it to run correctly. So this is the final product after completing the repairs and the adjustments. But I wanted to introduce the Watt Victor steam engine to you. We've got the steam engine put back together here. I bent, the axle was bent. It's pretty straight now, but the flywheel was wobbling pretty bad, and the retaining clip was missing. Here is welded or soldered on, comes over the top and pushes right in on the cylinder, the drive cylinder, and it's supposed to move freely. So I just used a piece of coat hanger wire and created a retaining clip there so that moves freely. I've added a little piece of leather to hold to lift the pressure regulator. So it's heating up now. You can probably hear it. You can hear it starting to boil. And you can see the water and the water level gauge. Right there. All right, it's boiling now. So let's see if we get a... This should move once it builds up enough pressure. This should move on its own, and then we'll have to give it a little nudge, but it should start to turn once the pressure builds up on the drive. Yeah, it's starting to build pressure now. If this pressure regulator is not setting in real well, it won't build pressure. It really wants to run. Come on, sweetie. You can do it. Might be, oh, that's not good. Let's see if I can tap that back in place. There we go. This is probably just a little too tight. I'll move it down. I could put some ceramic lubricant on that. Almost. Almost running. So I need some ceramic lubricant on this. It's just, see, you can just see it's just barely enough to get going. But the whistle works. And see if we can get it. If I get that cleaned up as it runs, it'll clean itself up. Almost ready to run by itself. Alright, I'm going to let it cool down. If the whole thing is just blistering hot, even the base is so hot you can't touch it. There it goes. It's trying to go by itself. When it cools off, I'll show you how this valve system works. It's pretty clever. It really is trying to start on its own here. Alright, let's let it cool off and then I'll pull this apart and show you the valves. Alright, I'm back in the shop. Let's Alrighty, that ought to make a big difference. Just cleaning it. And then let's snap it back in place here. There we go. It's still a little tight. And I could put a little bit of grease on there. I just don't want the grease to get into the piston. And that's just about perfect, that tension on there, right here. So I think cleaning that up helped make the surface a little bit better. And this could use some cleaning up in here. It's got a little bit of oil dirt on it. and it's pretty loose. If I put a drop of oil on there, it probably would help it spin just a little better. And on the connecting rod, and on the other side of the crankshaft, there we go. Oh my, yeah, that helped actually. And I'm sure that the connecting rod up here, just a little, will take some of the pressure off, stress off of the turning. Okay, so let's, we still have water in it, but I'm not going to fire this up on this carpet. I have a fireproof bag here that I'm going to set it on, and I have my fire extinguisher right over here, right next to me here. So there's the fireproof bag, and you can see the water level bobbling there. So let's plug it in. This cord, let me show you the cord. It's got a bare spot right there. So I think what I'm going to do, I can't use heat shrink, and I don't want to take it apart because it would be too catastrophic to remove the base. I don't know. I don't want to damage anything, so I can't use heat shrink, and I don't really want to use lame electrical tape. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some hot glue, press it in there, and then pull this together with some clear glue of some kind, then tape it, and then remove the tape so it doesn't look bad. So let me go ahead and put a piece of tape over that right now, just so I don't forget it. And bump it up against something here in the shack. Okay, let's plug this puppy in. And we'll let it warm up, and see if we can get it to spin now. While it's heating up, I'm going to clean the pressure regulator. I think I can tip this enough to let you see in the top. There it is. And it's starting to boil now. So let's put this back in. There, that'll probably help too. It's getting really hot. Let's see what it's running now. Okay. Almost 200. So far, no whistle. $225 degrees. Okay, it's definitely boiling. Okay, let's tap this retainer over. There we go. Get it back into the middle a little bit. There it goes. It's just about to go. Okay, I still think our valve system is still not just right. Yep, too far. There we go. I just want it on the surface there. There we go. All right, we're going to try one thing here. Put a drop of oil. Come on, sweetie, you can do it. All right, let's adjust this just a little bit, see if that makes any difference. I assume there's a bimetal thermostat in this thing. The glass tube is running. Yeah, you can see the temperatures there. The heating element, I'm sure, is right here in the base. Alrighty, I think what I'll do is unplug it and turn this air conditioner off. And I think we'll let it cool down and we'll let it relieve the pressure there a little bit. This pressure here We could probably relieve, I can't even touch it, just a little bit, which would, it's actually just about perfect now. It's just hardly pushing on it. As you can see, it's spinning pretty good on its own. So the crankshaft is still out of round, as you can see, just a little bit. And I might be able to adjust that slightly. So let's let it cool down here. We're still well over 200 degrees. So let's just let everything cool down, and we'll refill it with some water, and then we'll coat this slightly, and we'll see if we can get it to run full speed. If this hole is clogged up, it won't allow that pin right there to go all the way in. That could be a problem, and this has got a lot of corrosion in it. So I'm just going to dig that out. It's definitely clogged up, and it's still hotter than a blister. That corrosion is like a rock. There we go. Getting to the bottom of it now. Yeah, that's much better. And let's purge this. There we go. Any kind of crud in there. Okay, let it drain. Clean all that oil. Clearly has been oiled over the years. Clumps of buildup. That is really rough. Really rough, and it almost looks like it's got a glue on it. So let's try this. Let's take a real fine file and very gently. Oh my, yeah, it is. You can see, I don't know if you can see in the video. I'll try to zoom in. You see the high spots there. And I'm going to have to wash this out. All right, now we can file it. Oh yeah, it's very rough from corrosion. So we'll gently sand that down. Got to handle this real carefully because the push rod is so fragile. I have to sand over the top of these valves openings or it won't seal correctly. I hate to sand on those because of the fragments getting into the piston, but we're just going to have to wash that piston out real well with cleaner, contact cleaner or brake cleaner, something, and hope that we get it clean enough to not interfere with the piston. Okay, we're making some progress here, as you can see. Getting it down. This is an aluminum block, pretty sure. Might be pot metal. But it's pretty soft, as you can see from the file. And the corrosion has just eaten away into the surface, as you can see from the reflection there. So let's thing really has got good pressure on the valve. Okay. We really shouldn't have to have any oil, grease, or anything on that if it's sealed correctly. And okay, the piston and rings are definitely sealing really well because it just pulls with all of its might when I put that spray in there. Okay. Now let's blow it out with air again. You can see the flywheel moving when I put the air in it. Okay, the surfaces of the valve body are good. There are some scratch marks on the copper. So let's very gently, let's wash this file. And let's see if we can just do a real gentle thing over these surfaces here and see what kind of high spots appear. Yeah, there are a few there. That's a lot flatter there, but there's a high spot right there, a bump, a burr of some kind. Okay, so I was going to explain, as you can see, the boiler has these two vents. Let me get some light on the subject here. It has two vents, one here and one here. And these openings here are steam relief. So what happens is this block, this valve block, rotates. You see the holes? It rotates on this pin right here. And that pin inserts into this right there. And the one pin in the when the piston is all the way down, or nearly so, one pin, one steam vent here aligns with this hole, and the pressure pulls, in this case the bottom one pulls the piston up, or pressurizes this chamber and pulls the piston up. And got to get the connecting rod in the right place there for it to move. So that's the whole idea. And then as it turns, the pressure is relieved from this side. The pressure is relieved, opening, and this pin lines up on top and pushes the thing back down. And then that pressure is relieved in this groove right here, out. So it's the pressure's going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and pushing this piston up and down, up and down. So that's the whole principles. Not very complicated. There's no, well, there are no reed valves or anything. It's just very simple. And so what we want to do is to get this, we really need to get this, I prefer to have this right above the pin. So I've got the lined up just about right there, and then it needs to come right over on top. Now this is really coarse because of the coating on the coat hanger. So what we need to do is scrape all that off and make sure that it's just nice smooth steel. So that's another friction point, and we don't want any friction, at least not on these moving points. So we'll clean that off, and then we'll buff it with the wheel. Nice and smooth. And boy, that made a difference. And then we'll buff the face here. Buff the face here. All we want is one little tiny contact point. And you can see where the original contact point was. I'll try to turn it there. You can see the contact point. And that came from this little clip that came over, a little spring clip that came over and just touched it. Just enough to hold it in to seal the steam. So that's where we're at on my little crude setup here. Let's see if we can get it to fit. And we'll put it right in the middle like we said. So I want those two to line up. And I want this to line up straight this way with the pin. So I need to come this way just a little more. So there. That should be just about perfect. So let's snap it in place. The other thing is we need, popped into one of the valve holes. We need, there, you can hear that snap? Okay, and it's right in the groove, right in the pinhole. So, and it's sprinting a lot easier now, as you can see. So we really, hopefully, have made some improvements. Now, I'm not going to oil it just yet. Probably wouldn't be a bad idea to put a drop of oil here and there, but let's reheat it. We need to put a little more water in, and let's reheat. We need to double check our seal here. Yeah, it's still a little rough. And so let's buff that down, just buff it down just a little more. And let's get these edges cleaned up so they don't grab the inner copper. All right, we're going to do the same thing here. All right. Oh yeah, that made a big difference. Now, hopefully, there aren't any pits on this needle. And as you know from your old-fashioned cooking days, this is just like a pressure cooker. This weight is designed to keep a seal on the chamber until the pressure gets too much, and then it just gently lifts up and relieves the pressure. So that weight is designed, engineered to maintain a certain amount of pressure inside the tank. You know, we could probably clean this up while we're working here. That was pretty grungy. And I think the whistle would be a little sharper if we cleaned the tooth. The tooth is a little rusted on the whistle. And we could just gently ever so gently clean the tooth on that whistle, and it might make it a little sharper. I think there's some corrosion in there, and I'm not going to try to dig it out. But this is about as rough as I'll get on a restoration like this. See the mud? It's just years of dirt buildup and storage and dust. And I think that this has been painted, but it might just be copper. Probably is copper, but we're just going to clean it just a little bit and then wipe it down. I get a big kick out of that wooden handle there. That is so cool. All right. All right, so we've made some changes there and get this line back up correctly. Let's put a little more water in it, and then we'll fire it up again. Okay, we've put a little more water in it, and I think we need to make sure that we don't have too much water in there, because we need the steam to, if you have too much water, you don't have enough steam. And we need the steam to build pressure. So I plugged it back in, and we'll let it sit here and heat up. See, we're back down here to just 100 degrees now. So we'll let it heat up to its 200 and whatever, 50. And we'll see if we can actually get it to run this time. Getting there. No whistle yet. Whistle. Look at that. Look at that. What kind of temperatures do we get out of the smokestack here? Almost 200. Oh, nice and sharp. Yeah, that helped. Look at that. Running beautifully. And it's speeding up, as you can hear, as the temperature increases. I let off the steam so it slowed down. Hot as a blister. All right, let's change camera angles and get another view a little bit lower. Ooh, that's hot. All right, so we'll unplug it. We'll see how long it runs. If we got the wobble out of the flywheel, it would help some too. It would run faster. And that's without any grease in there. Still got a little bit of steam. That's about it.